Hello, I'm Laura. It's Friday, March 6th, 2026, and these are today's Heartlines. Our theme for Heartlines this week is promoting peace. And today we are promoting peace through loving communication. And where we learn about loving communication is from the technical world. I need to start by admitting that my communication when it comes to technology has been less than loving lately. When my computer went down some weeks ago, my husband and I spent a lot of time working at renewing programs and apps, getting new apps, restoring documents and folders. And there were so many steps to each minute part of the process that it got to be somewhat frustrating. I even lost patience with my husband, with whom I could not have done all of this. Now there's a new computer and things have smoothed out, but you discover things along the way. You discover that stuff in you that looks for things to be the way you think they should. And when they're not, wow, I don't know about you, but I need to watch who I am being in my communications. Well, I realized since then that the reason for all of these multiple steps that even lasted into using those programs again once the computer was restored, once the hard drive was restored, had a lot to do with who we are and empowering our own communications. You see, lately, we have been under threat of cyber attack, and it has increased with the war in Iran. Now, it was a cyber attack that actually took my computer out to begin with. My hard drive crashed from a virus. And the restoration process has taught myself and my husband has taught us a few things. And I learned what can actually help protect us from those cyber attacks or just keep us safe in our communications, as safe as possible. We are always vulnerable, but when we do what we can, then the best things unfold. So that starts with authenticity. There were multi-factor authentications with each of the programs we renewed. And even when I started these programs up or these apps, when I would prepare to do something, I'd have to respond to my computer saying, I just simply want to make sure it's you. Well, this tells me about loving communication in the way of authenticity. We need to make sure we are ourselves in our communications. What's in our hearts? What are our values? Are we communicating ourselves authentically? The second thing is effectiveness. And it shows up in the computer world as strong and unique passwords that make us less vulnerable to cyber attack, but also express more of who we are. We can keep these passwords stored safely in our own secret way, but we need to create those strong, unique passwords to begin with. Just like in our communications, we can uniquely express ourselves in clarity and strength. Then, like you have to double check a password, we can ask others to be sure they heard what we said. And then we can do the same for them. We can repeat back to them the words that they used so they know they have been heard. The next thing is integrity. And in the computer world, avoid suspicious and unknown links. If you don't know the person or the place it's coming from, don't open it. And get to know people in your communications, whether it's individually or as a group. Allow people to be who they are. Logical communication works sometimes, but a lot of times it doesn't, because it doesn't include the whole person, the feelings, the thoughts about things. As you get to know those in each other, your communications become more empowering for each other, and you have that integral sense of being whole. And then there is keeping software updated, the fourth step, openness to new possibilities, to new things, and to learning things. And we can do the same in our communication. We can be open to learning new things. And finally, there is unity. If I hadn't backed up a lot of my data, a lot of my documents on the cloud and in Outlook when I was communicating with others, I would have lost everything. Instead, I did lose what I had on my desktop and hadn't backed up, and that was plenty right there. But because I had most of my things in Outlook, on the cloud, the places where things are connected and come together, I was able to restore them. And that's what we can look for in our communicating. We can see where it is we come together. What common ground do we share? Even if it's to agree to disagree, we have created some sense of connection and unity. So we're going to begin this whole complex process by simplifying it through a moment of quiet contemplation. So let's take a deep breath and close our eyes and focus on this idea. I give and receive in loving communication, opening the way to peace in my relationships and in my world. I give and receive in loving communication, opening the way to peace in my relationships and in my world. And so it is. So authentication or authenticity, be your authentic self in communication. Be effective by being clear and strong in who you are and allowing others to do the same with you. Be in integrity by allowing all that is involved to unfold in mind and heart and being. Be open to learning new things from each other in communication, and be in unity, finding common ground even in disagreement. The AEIOU of communication actually brings us together and helps us feel more peaceful, even in our relationship with technology, let alone with our world. Thank you for joining me in loving communication today, and have a peaceful and wonderful day.